Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Gacha Pitting Living. Here we are, myself and Com. Here we are gonna give you guys a little review of what's happened in February. But before we get into the Gacha world, we do want to talk about our gaming world because I think most of us don't really just play gachas. We play a lot more games, and so myself recently I got into a game called Warrior Abyss. It's one of the I don't know the name, but I know the logo of the company. They have a bunch of those.
Oh, Koei Tecmo.
There you go, Koei Tecmo. And having a lot of fun with it. I suck. I'm not good at the game. Like I haven't cleared a dungeon yet, but I'm having fun with it. And then I just recently played and beat Resident Evil 9, which I have mixed feelings about. I'm not as overzealous of it as everybody else is. I know everybody else is saying it's like top 3 Resident Evil game of all time, and I'm like, it's like top 5 maybe. No, I'd say like top 10. I don't know. I didn't really enjoy it as much as I hoped I was going to. You're gonna say come?
Well, I was just gonna say, wow, like I was taken aback by the ranking where you're like maybe top 10 because like I think you're gonna make some people mad with that one where it's like not even top 3. But I want to go back to Warriors Abyss real quick because you know the Muso games, the Dynasty Warriors games, Samurai Warriors, the Warriors series, like those typically aren't hard, right? I know like this is a little different. It's sort of like a roguelike type of thing. Is it? I'm not clowning on your skills because, like, dude, you've played actual Souls-likes, you know? We clarified that before. But how hard is that game really? Like, did you play Hades? Did you ever beat that?
No. So the only, like, roguelikes I played have been, like, Diablo, you know, Minecraft dungeon type stuff. And it's not that I don't like the genre, but it's like I've just never really been appealed too much to roguelikes outside of like an hour. But no, when I mean hard, I just mean I haven't cleared a dungeon. But I think now maybe that could be a skill issue. I'm 100% willing to accept that. But I do believe that this game heavily wants you to play as everybody, to level them up, so that way when you get them in your roster, they're leveled up and you're doing more of the output. I know that having your character's weapon matters a lot. So like, I don't know if I was supposed to beat my dungeon first try. I don't know. Maybe I was. Maybe I'm trash. I don't know. But like, I only get to like stage 3 out of like I don't even know how many stages. And it's just simply because like I end up just having not enough damage or something. And so, but I'm having fun though. I've put already like I think like 12 hours, 15 hours into it. Like just trying different runs, different builds.
How much did you pay for the game? How much did you spend?
So it was on sale. I got it for $12. And then I got some of the cosmetics for the, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Ulterior game series? Is that what it's called?
Atelier, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, they had some cosmetics for those characters, and I ended up playing. I ended up getting them to play because they're the ones I'm going to. But that one chick from Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive, I can't remember her name, but the one that usually has the fans, she doesn't have fans in this one. She has like a giant spear of some sorts. I recently played her. She's pretty fun. But it's cool. It's a cool game. It was cheap, thankfully. So like I didn't like hurt my wallet getting it. But yeah, I'm playing that. Played Resident Evil, and then Marvel Rivals. But Marvel Rivals kind of took a backseat once Resident Evil came out. I feel like for a lot of us, we kind of left Marvel and started playing Resident Evil.
Well, since last time we recorded, was Elsa already added in the game, or is she new? Bloodstone, right?
Yeah.
That's the character's name.
Yeah, actually, I think she was added like either a week of the podcast or a little bit after she was added.
Is she somebody that you're maining, or I don't know what your character picks are in Rivals?
No. We can talk about Rivals on another time because Rivals, and I feel like those type of games, I feel like, I don't know, they're just kind of like games you play, but they're not. I take that back. For some people, they're heavily invested in them, right? But for myself, it's like I'm just playing Rivals because I had nothing else to really play, and it's kind of brainless. Oh, okay. But what about you? What have you been playing this month, aside from your gachas?
Yeah, outside of the gachas, so like the most recent purchase earlier today, man, I finally rebought Street Fighter 6.
Oh.
Because Like they do have Alex coming out in a week or two. He's not really my type of character, even though I like grappler characters. I like the wrestler character archetype. But it was actually, dude, they're teasing costume 4 for Elena, where I was like, you know, I never really cared about Elena, but this costume is kind of enticing me. Can I be an Elena main? And then I took a break from most of my fighting games because I stopped my Xbox Game Pass subscription. You know, you got to pay to play online on the console, right? And I built this new PC rig with the idea that, dude, don't have to pay monthly fees to play online anymore, which is great. But being slow to rebuying, you know, games that I used to own on the console. I kept eyeing for like a better sale, but the one that I saw today, I was like, well, it's not the record low, but if I add the base game plus Season Pass 1 plus Season Pass 2, even at their discounted prices, the math was satisfactory for me. So that's what I did. And I was streaming it earlier, man, and I was like, I'm still rusty for sure, but I didn't degrade as bad as I thought. I was like, dang, like I'm already in my placement ranks. I'm like higher than I was before, so I'm all right. Like it'll be good to kind of have another game to do this type of grind with also, because like again, our connection bumping into each other with like Dead or Alive streams, like it's, you don't want to get obsessed with your rank, right? But having that dedicated time to kind of like sweat in that way, I think is good for me. So I'm looking forward to it again. Because like with the gacha play, it's been so casual outside of the pools that you're sweating for, right? But having like a little bit of effort, because like, dude, I can't play MOBAs or first-person shooters worth crap. So like I love the aesthetic of Marvel Rivals, dude. I love like how many characters are in there, dude. I suck at that game. I don't want to play on a squad. give me like free for all deathmatch PvP, and then like I can hang with it. But no game wants to do that. None of those shooters, like even Apex Legends, I'm like, all right, it's. I wish they would have made a Titanfall 3, but like I'm trying to hang with it. I like some of these characters. Oh, I gotta be in a squad of 3 people. Nah, like it's only really Fortnite, right? That lets you go full on solo, right?
Yeah. Well, Fortnite and Warzone and PUBG, which I know you said that you never tried PUBG, but I would say try it, especially if you're on PC. It's a fun. I mean, I enjoyed it. It's just long. The one thing I will say about PUBG is that if you don't die in the first like 10 minutes, you're gonna be there for 30, 40 minutes in a match. Like they're long matches.
So there was that the demo that I tried. So outside of Street Fighter 6 was FateTrigger, right? And I thought with all the marketing they were hyping it up as the anime Fortnite, right? But you know, as I played it, like the pacing was a lot slower, and some people who were popping in my chat, they were saying like, no, this is more PUBG paced. So I guess PUBG is just way slower in general. And it was all right. Like I had a good time. Just like battle royales in general is like not my like. There was a period of time where I was like all in on Fortnite, and like I really enjoyed it. And being away from it, who's to say? You know, maybe some collaboration will pull me back. I really thought that Power Rangers collab, which was that like half a year back now, was going to be the one to draw me in, and it just didn't. FateTrigger was fine, dude. I don't know if it's going to be able to sustain a big enough player base. Is like the problem with that. Like that's kind of like the iffy thing about it. But like if enough people stick around, I think they'll have a good time. Some people are starting to say, dude, and you did try this out. Maybe you can talk about it, but people are saying like, dude, it's going to be the next Strinova, where it's going to be just like filled with bots, and you're not ever going to be playing like real people. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's because I think what it is I think a lot of game developers, and I don't think they're wrong in thinking so, but a lot of game developers think that if you just put anime girls and if you just put like, you know, like pleasing aesthetics, people are just going to want to play your game. But the problem is, it's kind of like, because we live in such a market where that's oversaturated and overdone. It's like every anime or every manga coming out, right? That it's like it's all oversaturated. Every and to talking about gachas, Every new gacha is an oversaturated, just like basically plagiarism without plagiarism, art and style of different games, of different things. That it's just like, I feel like the problem that FateTrigger, this one, and there's another one coming out that I had talked to you called WTF. It's called Waifu Tactical Fighter. Like, that game looks cool, but that game and Stranova, is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah, I think Stranova.
Stranova, I think are going to be the exact same game because, like, I think they think, hey, let's just take a simple FPS, do one cool little mechanic, and just put anime girls, and it'll sell. And it's like, that's not really what people want to play. So, for instance, Nova, I did like, but of course it's filled with bots. What I didn't like about the game was that it looked like the main game, the main thing was like that weird, was like that like infection game mode that, every game has had. Halo had it, Call of Duty had it, like all of them had it. And it's like, I didn't like it at all how they did it. I didn't like the mechanics. The cars were cool, I guess. But as soon as I saw that, like, all of the shop was like, oh, get these cards, I uninstalled it. I was like, I'm not going to play that game mode longer than I had to, which they forced you to in the tutorial, which upset me immensely. But it was cool. Tutorials. Yeah.
It's funny that, dude, I mean, maybe this goes to show like how little time like I spent with Strino, but like I don't remember any of that, dude. I just remember the Paper Mario gimmick and like being able to turn 2D to like dodge bullet stuff,
which is cool for like a second.
Yeah, you're right. Like that shouldn't be like the main draw of the game. Outside of those titles, man, like the one other one, and I think this transitions into something that you want to be talking about. I revisited Dead or Alive 6. Because at that State of Play, they were announcing that Dead or Alive 7 is in the works, and they're going to be releasing a Dead or Alive 6 last round. So it got the community really excited and hopeful, combing through some of the details. Like, the actual product and package of last round is kind of mixed, but dude, like that invigoration, knowing like a series and franchise that you enjoy is alive and not dead is a good thing. And like people were entering tournaments. Frosty Faustings had a tournament set, and it was like, man, it was just the sequence of all that stuff. It's like really similar, like when you're invested in a sports team, and you get to watch them play, like no different. Where it's like, dude, this is like my game, right? And like you see the high level players, and like I'm no pro, right? I don't compete, but like knowing well enough to like watch what they're doing, and I'm like, oh, this guy's the Ayane player. I'm rooting for him. It's like, no, the Ayane player, bracket, just like having that type of investment was like a joy, man. So seeing that excitement with the community, all good. Playing some matches, like I was surprised that I just talked about not paying for the Game Pass subscription, but Dead or Alive 6, because it has that Core Fighters version, you can still play it online without needing Game Pass. So that's a nice thing. But it doesn't work with the 5 version for some reason, even though that also has Core Fighters, but whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say, so my introduction into the Dead or Alive series was Dead or Alive 5 last round. Me and my brother got that because it was on sale. It was like, like $10 for it and like whatever skins or whatever, good or like $5, and like we instantly fell in love with it. Because my issue with fighting games is like, well, okay, when you were a kid, I feel like Mortal Kombat was a thing, right? Like Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks was cool, and Deception and Armageddon was great, right? It was the first time we had a really quote unquote in-depth customization character and everything. Well, to be fair, at the time it actually was really in depth, right? It was the first time you could actually create your own fighter that wasn't just like a ninja shade. And so but as I got older and playing like Injustice and playing trying to play Street Fighter, trying to play Tekken, which Tekken I could just never get into as much because that's just so hard. But Dead or Alive was like the first game that felt like you were, and It was the first game that felt like you were watching one of those old kung fu movies, like where it wasn't just one person backed up into a wall and just done. It's like, no, like, okay, he took a couple hits. He was able to reverse that. He was able to engage in that. They were able to engage/disengage each other, which is like, I think Dead or Alive was the first game, and I could be wrong, to me though, that like had this kind of like communitive fighting instead of just, spam, corner, spam, and and you're just dead, and you have to hope that you get him in the corner and you stun lock him in the corner and win. But I really love Dead or Alive 5 because and it's funny because Dead or Alive 5 to 6 though feel like such different games, like just how they fight, how they move. 6 really just made everything so much smoother. Although I do like the clunkiness and slowness of 5. I do like that you have to think a little bit more than in 6. I feel like 6 does let you be a lot more spammy and a lot more oppressive. But in 5, it just feels like, I don't know. I remember when I played 5 and 6, and I didn't like 6 as much. I went back to 5. When I played 5, it felt like I was like running through like mud to fight. It was, I don't know. It was interesting. But so my first introduction into Dead or Alive was DOA 5 Last Round. And so now that DOA 6 Last Round's coming out, kind of like you, I'm kind of like, I've already bought a lot of skins for Dead or Alive 6, I bought a lot of the marriage skins for a couple characters because, I really main like 2 characters and that's it. But I'm like, do I really want to buy the game again and get all these skins for characters I'm never going to play, never going to use? And I'm like, I don't know.
So what I heard, because again, after it was announced and like trying to see the ins and outs of it and like what transfers over and what doesn't, I think, dude, the skins do transfer over.
Oh.
So, like, if that's a concern, or, like, I mean, your main character is Kokoro, right?
Yeah.
So, like, even if you want to not buy the game, because it's going to have a Core Fighters version also.
Yeah.
You download it, and then you just pay for Kokoro, I think all your skins should transfer over. Like, as long as you're on the same platform. So you should be good on that front.
That'd be cool.
The annoying thing for me is, I bought the extra characters on 6, right?
Yeah.
And they don't transfer over to the last one.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Now, it's because of the way they're packaging it, because they're trying to say that all the DLC characters they released before, outside of the guest characters from King of Fighters, so not Mai, Shiranui, and not Kula Valentine, everyone else is going to be part of that base roster. So that's going to be part of the $40 package. So that's how they're trying to justify it. And, like, again, some people are just so excited that Dead or Alive is alive that they're like, yes, support the devs. This is so good. Then you have people who are so freaking jaded, they're like, F Koei Tecmo, I'm somewhere in between, where obviously I'm excited about it. And like, hey, if the netcode's any better, like if there's just like, this is the version that everybody's playing, eventually like, I'll get into it, but I'm just even more excited for Dead or Alive 7. And I don't need it to come out as soon as possible. Please take their time with it. But I'm like, the icing on the cake would be for me, like if Soulcalibur gets some sort of announcement that like it's not dead either. But I think that franchise, unfortunately, is going to be dormant for a little bit. Dude, this is kind of like a interesting segue into like some gacha news though, real quick, because the guy who is in charge of making Soulcalibur 6, right? And Soulcalibur 6 sold all right. I mean, it sold well enough where they did two season passes for it. Okay, that director for that game, he left Bandai Namco. He left to go join Sai Games. Are you familiar with Sai Games?
Yeah.
Sai Games, you're home of Uma Musume, but also Grand Blue Fantasy. And Grand Blue Fantasy is a gacha also. It also has a JRPG spin-off, which is like more recent, but it also has its fighting game.
The Relink?
And Relink is that JRPG spin-off.
Which I actually might get. I'm considering it.
But I found out like my brother's like really eyeballing it, so like that might be a chance for me and him to co-op for the first time in like years. But the funny thing about the fighting game Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising, because this director for Soulcalibur 6, dude, right? He's one of the people who really championed to get 2B from Nier in Soulcalibur. And guess who's the guest character in Grand Blue Fantasy versus Rising?
Is it
2B
Nier?
from Nier. Like, now again, like there's kind of like that meme that she's the collab character for everything, right? But another reason why I wanted to bring up Grand Blue Fantasy to you, dude, is, and again, we can put Gacha talk on the back burner after this.
Yeah.
But one of the news announcements is, before Grand Blue Fantasy was a browser-based Gacha game, like one of the few, because it's also freaking old. Dude, it's finally getting a Steam port. So, here's your chance if you want to get into it.
To try it? Yeah, well, I mean, it's a name I've always heard, right? It's that one that has the clock. Am I wrong? In the icon or whatever? It shows like some person in like silver armor and a clock, I think. Or am I confusing with another game?
Dude, there's so many characters in the game, and like where I'm teetering on with like the fighting game community and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can only imagine what type of topics get like blasted on that. So, dude, maybe there is dude, it would be insane if it's like, man, CommDao, how did you not know that like the mascot character is a knight with a clock?
Well, I think it's a clock, right? I'm just saying because I always see like the picture when people talk about it. No, but before we leave the Dead or Alive conversation, I don't know if you know, but they had a mobile game for a while I think in China or Japan. I can't remember which one, but one of them had it was like a turn-based game, right? And gosh, okay. I really wish it went to global, but it never did. I'm hoping, kind of like, because I'm a big mobile game player, that I'm like, I really hope that they make some kind of mobile game, whether it be just like a mobile fighter, right? They just take it and make it like dumbed down how other games try to do. Or it goes into like a kind of hero collector type thing. I really hope so. Because, like, that's such a cool franchise that, like, I wish they would do a little more with. But I get, too, that they're so spread out, right? Like, I know the Dynasty Warriors, they're currently both remaking and creating new games, right? And then I know the A-Tier, or, again, I forgot to pronounce. They just put out their game last year, and I think from what I've seen, because a lot of my friends ended up getting it, it did kind of successful, so they're all over the place. I understand as a company that like maybe they don't want to spread their eggs out too much.
Well, but it's not only like spreading out too much. It's like, what are the money makers, right? So
yeah,
Koei Tecmo, they also make Neo, and they also made they make another one. I don't know if Sekiro's them. Maybe not, but like they have like two pretty like big Souls-like action-oriented franchises, and like you're talking about. Oh,
that's right. You're right.
Making a mobile game, like, well, like there's that whole controversial side about the Dead or Alive franchise with those beach volleyball games, right? And there is that beach volleyball Gacha game that all you need is like a VPN so you can install it on like the stateside server. But once you do that, you're good to go. I've heard that Gacha game has made more money than 5 and 6 combined, dude.
Yeah, so. But to be fair though, the Gacha I was referencing wasn't the beach one, but I am aware of the beach one. Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Of course, I would like to probably play the beach one too. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I've never figured out how to use VPNs, and I've always been like too lazy to do VPNs. And I remember, and I know we're not talking about like gachas and mobile games just yet, but I don't know if you ever saw the Marvel MOBA game. It was like Marvel Super War or something like that. It only released in like Indonesia and like in like Taiwan and a couple of places. It was super low release, but I really wanted to play it because it was literally a MOBA, and at that point in time I was all into League of Legends, right? And I was like, oh, League of Legends but Marvel? Count me in. And then it just never released in global. I think it's still like active, but they have no ambition to like put it out like globally, which I get why though, because those games are like, I feel like MOBAs like that are cheaply made, and they're just trying to get them out as quickly as they can. And I think they just didn't want to deal with like the global backlash.
Probably. One thing before we move away from Dead or Alive, finally,
Yeah.
like I think it's worth mentioning going back into its history though, because you were saying like your start with Dead or Alive was 5 last round, right?
Yeah.
Like me, I like. It's weird to think because Xbox is sort of falling out of the limelight. Xbox is definitely not the powerhouse that it used to be, but at its debut, dude, Dead or Alive was one of its properties. Dead or
Yeah.
Alive 3 was like one of the games that they showcased and people were all on board. Like I remember at that time, like people who didn't play fighting games got it because it looked so good and it was like so fun to play, So I played the heck out of 3 and then they remastered 2 with like 3's graphics and playing all that. Skipped out on 4 because that was like around the time going to Japan. But me having that frame of reference and then going into 5 and 6 was like a very different experience versus you starting with 5. But also at that time of 3, that's when like those volleyball games started coming out. And all I wanted to say was those volleyball games, again, like the reason why people play them, but you still had an actual volleyball game that you could play. I heard that this gacha game is like so like not that. It's like very simplified and it's more like managing the resources. Like, I mean, again, don't get me wrong. Like those volleyball games before weren't like legit sports games because like there was like a whole casino mini game type of thing. But
gambling's a sport.
If
hey, well, actually, you know what? To some people, it is.
I mean, it takes skill.
Serving, well, because there is like world. Oh no, I was talking about the casino. I mean, there is World Series of Poker, right, and all that. So technically, it's considered a sport.
I thought you were dogging on volleyball. I'm like, dude, man, like saying Resident Evil 9's only in the top 10 now, like coming after volleyball. Like what?
Hey,
what other?
I would gladly join a volleyball team. I love volleyball. Volleyball is such a fun sport. I think it's the only sport I really enjoy besides like tennis. But I don't have the stamina to play tennis, like at all. Like that's just too demanding.
Yeah, I like baby tennis, aka badminton. I got to say that one maybe.
Yeah,
but thanks for humoring me on that. Like that.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say like anybody who's trying to like get into the Dead or Alive gacha thinking they're playing a volleyball game. That's not it. That's all I wanted to say. Yeah,
it's more of like a fan service game, which there's nothing wrong with. I mean, obviously in the Dead or Alive sphere, there's because it's not just the girls, right? It's the guys too, right? Like I know Zach. I think
no. Well, it's just Zach.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say right. A life of like Zach. Gosh, he's such an annoying character to fight, though. Gosh,
He's
him.
Fun. He's pretty fun. He's annoying, but he's fun.
Him and the drunk guy. I can't remember his name, but that guy. I hate fighting those guys. Goodness gracious, dude. They're just so annoying fighting them online. Like as soon as I lock into a match and I see them, I'm like, all right, well, there goes 5 minutes of my life.
Even though I've done his command training, like every time I fight one online, I'm like, he has this move? Like I had no idea. Like every single time. Yeah, it's humbling.
Yeah. But okay, so before we go into talking about gachas and spending, as we were talked about last episode, what are you looking forward to in like the world of video games right now? Like, so for myself, I'm really looking forward to the new Sword Art game, and it actually made me reinstall Sword Art Fatal Bullet, which I still haven't beat. I always start it, but I never beat it. But I'm really excited for that. I personally I love the first half of the season of Sword Art. But once it hits like season 2 and goes into
the Gun Gale stuff.
Well, not even the Gun Gale, but once it turns into like the kind of fairy stuff and all that, and then the whole plot where that guy's like touching Asuna outside and everything, like I don't know, like I kind of clocked out. But the first half of the season, I really love. Like that's super cool. I love that whole world. I've played like all of the mobile games for Sword Art, which unfortunately a lot of them closed down.
Oh.
Some of them were great, but me and my wife actually play one, the most, I guess, current one, the internal fracture, I think it's called. We play that one together from time to time because it's an MMO on phone. But yeah, I'm really excited for that new one. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm really excited for
it
it.
gets so many releases. Sometimes it's hard to tell if something's a DLC expansion versus like a sequel versus a spin-off or something like that. Because I feel
Yeah.
like since Fatal Bullet, because I did pick up that one, it's good casual fun. Ever since the release of that title, I think it's had like 3 different like full-fledged JRPG games
Yeah,
that are
which
like 60 hours long. But I couldn't
I
tell
also
you
bought
the
one of them.
titles of them.
Well, I know one of them is alkalization or alkala. Yeah, but it's weird A names, right? That like I know how to read it, but I never use it in common talk. That I'm like, that's yeah. But I did buy the one that you're talking about. I didn't buy there was another one that was supposed to be online, but in all the reviews, everybody said nobody plays it online anymore. So you're literally like not gonna have fun with it. But
I mean,
yeah,
if you're an anime JRPG fan, if you're a fan of Sword Art Online, like you're probably going to be real happy. And I think Bandai Namco does put some effort into those games. Like they're not bad games. Even like the most mid Sword Art Online game, not talking about the mobiles, but like the console releases and PC releases. I think the worst one is still like a 7 out of 10, which is okay, right? But I know like with the way that they teased this, Bandai Namco had some like countdown on their website, and like they were talking about like, oh, a new RPG. And because they worded it so vaguely, people were getting really hyped up for like a brand new IP, some sort of new JRPG series. And then when it was released, Sword Art Online, like people were pretty disappointed on that point.
but
yeah, I don't know, maybe it's on them for their imaginations getting wild.
you know what? I don't care because I miss the Sword Art IP. I am so glad they brought it back because for years there's been like so. For instance, I used to collect a lot of different mangas, right? Like I was really into like the Goblin Slayer one, but I didn't really watch Goblin Slayer that much, so I stopped getting it. There was a couple other ones. Right now I'm reading the Magic manga, Destroy All Humans, They Can't Regenerate. I'm currently in that one. But every time I go to like Barnes & Noble, I'm like, man, I really want to get a Sword Art manga. But they're never there anymore because Sword Art has done nothing with the IP, like genuinely outside of games, for like years and years.
I guess that's true because when you first said like Sword Art Online hasn't done anything, I was like, wait a second, dude. Like they feel super active, but in the gaming space, you're right. Like no new animation. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe like a movie here and there, but like nothing really active enough to like warrant them being one of the big names anymore. That used to be, right? Like how you'll still see Soul Eater in the manga sections because Soul Eater was just such a classic, and they're doing like the reversal right now, right? Where now it's like the girl. I don't know. They're doing like a reversal series which warrants all that, and I'm like, bro, Soul Eater's, to my knowledge, hasn't done anything either. Why are they still there? But I can't get Sword Art Volume 1 or something, you know? Like, I don't know.
So, dude, I'm shocked because, like, a lot of these hobbies and interests, like, kind of bleed over. But I guess I just never knew, like, how into anime you were. Like, earlier,
I'm not.
Kind of well, so I was going to ask you, compared to, like, games you've played, like, is your anime ratio, like, anywhere near? Or is it, like, still, like, fairly minimal? Because like, I'm like, oh, man, like, this is potentially a whole other side of Fabian, you know?
So, I'll say this. If there's animes I like. Like there was one called Black Bullet, which nobody else has seen. Nobody else has ever really talked about it, but it's basically it was like a short series. It was one of those ones that only had like kind of 12 episodes, and it was where this guy where there were these like hunters, and they had partners which were usually like these like kid mutant things or something like that were gonna, I don't know, it was a whole thing, but like I really loved it. It was cool, it was dark, it was graphic, it was like it had enough humorous moments and cute that it wasn't just like a scary story, and it had a really cool like antagonist type character that was like really cool, and so I really got into that one. And then I took a weird pivot and got into slice of life. So I started watching like PS, or not PS, it's a Say I Love You, Umara-chan. I love Umara-chan. Such a great little cute anime thing. And then I got into Abridged really hard. I started watching like a lot of the Abridged series, but currently, me and my wife are watching Konosuba and the Aqua Goddess, or whatever, like that one's called.
Right.
And that one, geez, Louise, we were having a hoot and holler on that one. That one is such a just fun little, like, just dumb. It's dumb, right? It isn't meant to be a serious anime. It's very silly tropes of these RPGs and, you know, whatever. But yeah, we're really enjoying it. But like, I've never watched Attack on Titan. I've never watched any of the big Dragon Ball Zs. I've never seen like these big old mainstream ones that everyone's like, dude, you got to see it. I'm like, but have you heard of Konosuba? That's me.
I feel like Konosuba is like, it's not even a deep cut. It's like a certain territory of like otaku where like people definitely recognize that franchise, right? But like maybe you get labeled a certain way. Like, and again, it's not even degenerate or anything like that.
No, it is.
Okay.
Like, come on, dude. Like there was a whole boss where, and I'll just say, because again, I watched it with my wife, right? And we're laughing. But that one armor girl, her thing is she loves to be, you know, like abused. Yeah, and there's that boss that's that giant golem that's just like flicking her chest back and forth, and it's just like, what am I watching, bro? Like, it's just.
I haven't seen the series in full, so I remember.
Sorry if that's a little spoiler, but
dude, series is ruined. Can never catch it. All over on the anime space, and like, I think around the time Konosuba came out, that was like kind of very similar to like my video game journey, sort of when I was like taking a break from like all these mediums, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, we can say like just like with gaming, dude, just with like geek culture. Anime is more mainstream than ever, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like Konosuba is like one of those titles around that period, early 2010s, right? Mm-hmm. Where it's like on its growing path, where
I'm hoping that I'm hoping that it can get its bearings in the gaming world, because I know they have a dating sim, which I'm kind of tempted to get just because I really like it. But they had a mobile game. But the issue, and kind of maybe segueing into gachas now, the issue is a lot of these anime movie gachas, they just die. Because they just end up not being good games, they end up not being fun, or they end up being, even though this term's not used in gachas, but it's a term I think we all knew, they all try to rug pull, like really quick, of just get as much money and go as they can. And unfortunately, that's what happened with that game, where like I think it lasted only like 2 years. And unfortunately, I wasn't into the show at that time, so I never got to try it. But like, it unfortunately shut down. And you know, it's kind of like that's a still active manga. They just had their movie like a year ago or two, and so hopefully they're able to do something. But yeah, but in animes, and it's not that I don't like animes, because like, well, okay, there was one I was watching, I never finished it, but The Shield Hero? Is that what it was called? Like My Shield Hero or something like that?
Yeah. So, man, like when that came out and everybody, or I have a friend who's like so into anime now. Like he's been my best friend for like the longest time. All right, Fabian. And like I remember getting him into anime, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, it's like, dude, we got to watch the English dub because like it's so annoying to like read subtitles, or like the Japanese voices are too weird or annoying, right? Dude, he watches everything now. He's like consumed more anime than I have, like when I was like the big shot back in the day. But I remember when he was like highly recommending Rising of the Shield Hero.
There you go. That's
like,
what it's called.
I liked the premise all right, and I was trying to stick with it. But like the obstacles he faces, because it's like there's like one of the themes is like poverty versus like high class, you know?
Yeah.
And like how stupid all the elites were. Dude, it was like the job I had at the time. Those people reminded me of like who I was working for, and it was so freaking miserable. Like I want my shows to be escapism, right? And it only reminded me of work. Like I couldn't hang with the show. But
yeah,
that's my personal anecdote there.
You know that's interesting when I think it's cool, but I also agree with you when it's kind of like a curse when like you can relate to what you're watching. or when you're watching kind of like gets to your life. And I think that's what's cool about these mediums of stories, right? About these gachas, movies, books, whatever, right? That it's great when something can be kind of relatable with its story while still being an escape fantasy, you know? Like it's really cool. Like but yeah, no, and again, I'm not against anime or anything like that, but it's just like I just don't have the time I would like to watch as much anime as I could, right? Because it's kind of like I get home and I'm like, okay, do I want to game or do I want to watch anime? Do I want to watch this movie or the show I've been watching, or do I want to watch anime? Which I know I'm going to have fun doing either or, right? And so it just gets kind of I mean, it's just time management, you know? It's hard.
It 1000% is, man, and like that, I feel like my own time management with gaming is like already tricky. Like, could I just push you a little bit further?
Yeah.
And it's putting you on the spot like this, man. It's totally fine if like you don't have an answer. Like,
How dare you?
when you have to make that decision picking between watching a show and playing a game, I'm guessing that you'd rather veer towards playing a game. But like, do you know why you have that urge? Like, why is it that the game feels more satisfying, or that's what you want to do instead of watching a show?
I'll be honest, sometimes it's not even about satisfaction. It's about that's not even a word, but for me it's kind of like time value equivalency, right? And I think Gotcha's really installed that in me. It's like, okay, if let's say my goal in Marvel Rivals is I want to take Luna Snow to her next mastery. I know that's going to take time. I know that's going to take, time. Do I want to lose 3 hours of what could have been leveling her up, or do I want to watch an anime, which I'm not even sure right now if I'm enjoying. I'm not even sure if I'm going to like it, or I'm not even sure if I'm going to watch, right? Or if I'm going to start going on Reddit and scrolling, our gacha or something. That so it's kind of like, for me, it ends up being like cost. So for instance, Resident Evil 9. I didn't play anything else. I just literally played Resident Evil 9 and my gachas, but I played only Resident Evil 9. And I didn't even want to play Resident Evil 9, but I knew that if I didn't beat it and I don't have some kind of review or something up soon, I'm going to miss. Now, I know it doesn't matter really, but it kind of does too, because you're kind of going to miss the conversation. And so it's like, I think for me, it's like, what's going to benefit more? But I will say though, if I've had like a long day at work and it was super stressful and blah blah blah, and I get home, I'd rather watch an anime. But if I'm not in a stressed mood, then I mean, like, I can't think of a game besides maybe like a kind of RPG where like you're not trying to level something up anymore, right? And I'm not saying RPGs you don't, but it's different. Like for instance, like I also play Battlefield 6. Okay. If I want to get the hand cannon magnum, well, I have to get to level 48. Well, how am I get to 48? By completing this gun challenge, by doing this challenge. Oh, but this challenge limited to 2 days. I should get on that and finish it. So it's kind of like there's really not much in games anymore that doesn't feel like you have to do something. Okay, aside from like Fortnite, aside from things like that, where you're just where your goal is to win. I don't know. It's hard. What about you? How do you choose between gaming or
it's
media?
Like, as you were saying that, like I kind of have my version of that, and like usually my frame of reference is definitely way less about watching shows, but like that's kind of how I make that distinction between playing fighting games versus something else, right? Mm-hmm. And like that's part of the reason why I've been getting into gachas more, where again, there's that whole thing about paying to play online. But, it can get sweaty. It can be stressful. Or if it's not stressful, if it's a game that I know fairly well where, like, for whatever reason, man, I totally acknowledge it's a hard fighting game. But I just have the muscle memory for Tekken that I can roll with it, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I don't get tilted. Doesn't mean I don't get stressed. But, like, certain, like, to play Street Fighter, to play King of Fighters, to play Fatal Fury, dude, I gotta be on, or I have to have like a certain level of like awareness that I can't just slouch in the back of my chair when I'm playing it, But
yeah.
All these gacha games, you can kind of do that, because like you said before, like with the way that they try to be action combat oriented, and like there are some more complicated battle mechanics that are on there and done really well. they're still never going to hit like a real AAA action game, you know? And like, that's fine. We don't want it to be. That's kind of like the appeal for me, you know? Because like, I don't want to be playing a Souls-like game, you know? So I think it's part of like how much mental focus and energy you need. And also like half the reason why I'm not making a lot of progress on my gachas is because like, man, I just want to do dailies, you know? Or with my fighting games, like, yeah, there's plenty of people who grind ranked for like multiple hours, but I could totally pop in for like 20 minutes, you know? Versus you play a real JRPG, dude, how much are you going to accomplish in 20 minutes? Like jack, right? Like hardly anything at all. Like you got to give yourself like an actual block of time to play some of those games.
Which you want to know what? So sorry to cut you off, but it's funny though, because you're saying that, but like, you know, I just kind of think back to when we first met. You were literally streaming for like 10 minutes, and then you're like, all right, guys, I'm going to work. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing?
Well, like, I'll tell you, I can give some like behind the scenes on that, because that's another toxic job situation where I was like so down.
Oh, that's right. You already had a different job,
I was like, I want to start my day off right, dude. I want to start my day off playing video games and like curbing it and doing it like that. And again, like in like a weird circular way, it's nice because like when I'm streaming now, I'm still streaming for myself first and foremost. But like, that's why I was trying to do back in the day with that. But I'll give like another insight on like the whole time management thing, dude. I have this like weird hang up about kind of feeling like guilty on like how much game time I invest. And like I think now it's like pretty well balanced where it's like not a real issue. But again, like with job instability and like how my girlfriend works really hard, and like I never wanted to be like, oh, you know, like at like a sitcom or a TV show, like the boyfriend who's just like sitting around playing games all day. And I never got anywhere close to that. I always tried to be studious, or like, you know, I was applying to jobs and stuff like that. But I was like so scared of like ever having like that image associated with me. So Fabian, like at this point with how you've gotten to know me, you know how I can overthink on certain points. Like that was like definitely something where I'm like, man, I cannot be playing the game for like more than 2 hours right now. Like that was like kind of like a thing for a long time in that gap between.
I think for myself, again, you know, I'm now recently married, so now there's a different factor I have to factor in. But I think for me, it's like as long as I take care of what I'm supposed to. Well, it's different because myself and my wife are on completely different schedules, right? So she's like a day worker and I'm a night worker, so I have the kind of freedom of night to, you know, do whatever I want to do because you know, it's to sleep. But especially like, you know, but time management, I do agree with you, because especially now doing this channel, I'm like, okay, do I generally want to spend 4 hours playing X game, or do I want to spend maybe 2 hours and then 2 hours editing a video or doing whatever? And it's like, I still struggle with that. And especially, I know we don't really talk about it, but I'm currently getting into theology, which like, there's this book I'm reading that is like, dude, like the concept are so like over my head, and I'm like, okay, should I put more time into that, or do I play games? And it's hard because right now I'm still going to the game side, but I'm trying to learn like that kind of discipline of like, okay, no, you know, like, and not necessarily that I think gaming is a bad thing, right? As long as you take care of your life, do your things, and you're not just, how you're saying, just all day playing video games and, you know, potato chips on you and you haven't gotten up in 8 hours. No, but you know, but yeah, for sure, time management, it's tricky, and especially when you're, it's not just you, right? Like I feel like it's a lot easier when you're single or you're by yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I can say without like having to use that topic of studying theology in particular, right? But I think like a lot of people, they might have that battle too, man, of like, again, dude, I'm all like, life is tough, man, right?
Yeah.
So find whatever escape, your healthy balance, like enjoy what you enjoy in your hobbies, you know? But I think we're also kind of in like this hustle culture where maybe not to the same extent as I mentioned, like with gaming, but if you want to talk in terms of like being productive, right?
Yeah.
Being as productive as you can be, there could be like some sense of shame in like whatever you want to do when it can be like maybe one of the most important things you need in your life right now, just like time to like veg out, and like turn your brain off a little bit,
Yeah, but all right. So talking about all this in time management, I think it's a good time to segue into the gachas. So we are going to do a change of pace for those of you who watched the first episode. We're not going to go through everything because that just takes too much time, and we really want to talk into a subject we were going to touch in the first episode. So for this episode, we're just going to talk about real quick about the kind of main hitters, which are like the top 5, and then we'll go through a list real quick. So Genshin Impact got hit kind of hard. I don't know why. I think in January, I don't think they had in February. Sorry, forgive me. In February, I don't think they had a big like character, right? I think it just went down.
So part of February for a lot of these games, they have your Lunar New Year event, okay? And
that's right. Yes, they did.
They did have a special character, all right, but compared to a lot of these characters in the lore in Genshin, man, that have been like teased for years, right? Or something like that. This character, while very pretty, while they did a good storyline for her, they had no lead up to her. Like everyone was tracking, hey, who's potentially next in a couple of months or whatever. And they're like, oh, by the way, there's this horse lady. And it's like, yeah, because of the year of the horse, right?
Yeah.
But Zabai, do you want to talk about horse characters? Who are the dominant horse characters right now? Uma Musume, right? So people are like, oh my God, Genshin, they're going to do a horse waifu? And then you see it, and again, she looks great for like Genshin standards. It's like, where's the horse? So you have kind of like a mixed reaction.
Where's the tail?
She doesn't have it. Dude. Yeah. She doesn't have a tail. She doesn't have ears. So me, because I played through her story quest, and again, like I'm so far behind on most of my gacha stories, but like with these special event stories, they're easier to hop into. Dude, I fell in love with the character. So I was like, okay, even though she's unfortunately, like this always happens. A lot of the Genshin characters I like, they are Geo, and Geo is like one of the worst elements because of how difficult it is to coordinate everything. I'm gonna go for Zabai. She did it for me, and I pulled it. But that tangent out of the way, man. She is not that heavy hitter like how those other banners go. So to me, in a way, it makes sense that people after like a busy January conserving their money a little bit more, we'll probably see it trend upwards in the next month from now when we look at the report. Yeah.
And so next
does that mean that Genshin wasn't number 1, or it was?
No, it was. Yeah, Genshin was number 1. And number 2, which I don't think was number 2 last month, Withering Wave. No, actually last month was Love and Deep Space at number 2. So Withering Waves went up from 19 to 46 million. Now, of course, you and I kind of got lucky, I think, with the pull character that we both pulled the character. But it seems like this character and the other banner were really sought after.
Dude, this character, Amianth, again, I'm not caught up in the storyline, but I heard they did it really well with like the tragedy stuff. But what I heard with the community, man, so many people who stayed free to play in Withering Wave's 2-year existence, so many people said, no, I'm breaking free to play. I'm going to get this character. I'm not going to only get this character, I'm going to get her signature weapon. Not only am I going to do that, I'm going to get dupes of this character. People were going all freaking out to get like Constellation 6. I forget what it's called in Withering Waves. It's Constellations in Genshin. It's Mindscapes in Zenless. I really don't remember what they're called in Withering Waves because I haven't gone that far to get dupes of characters, right?
Yeah.
But people were spending money, and I knew they were going to. Enough money to be number 2 on this chart, like that's freaking insane because I don't think Withering Waves broke top 5 last time, right? I think Withering Waves is like...
Yeah, it was pretty low. Okay, so Withering Waves went up, and I know in the first episode I talked about I was forced to play Withering Waves, but I'm generally enjoying playing Withering Waves. I'm having fun with it. I don't know how far I am from you with the story. I generally just beat the whole... I can't remember his name, but that one edgelord, Scar, that takes you into a different area. But all right, Withering Waves, Naruto, you and I don't play, but they lost a Dragon Ball Love and Deep Space, which our dear friend Sandra, if you guys watched the episode earlier this month or last month, Love and Deep Space took a huge hit from 30. Well, never mind, I misread that. From 35 to 32 million. That's not bad. But scrolling down real quick, Arknight's Enfield after its launch only went down 3 million, which isn't horrible. And I'm best betting we're going to see that go up because they have a whole new character and their 0.2 or 1.2 coming out soon. Arknights itself went up. I don't know what's going on there, but that game always has banners. Honkai Star Rail. Whoa. Honkai Star Rail went from 8 million to 21 million. Oh, that's right though.
You got you back, right? Maybe
yeah, I was gonna say. So they had a lot of free 5 selector banners, and I think one of the characters that you can pull right now is like one of those characters that like the same thing as Wuthering Waves, where they where it's like we've really wanted this character for a long time, and so I think they finally got it. So I think that's what happened. Umasume, I think too is successful. We're not gonna get on that. And Fate Grand Order. Oh no, wait, you said Grand Blue, right?
Grand Blue's not out yet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the one I confused was Fate Grand Order. This person, I thought it was a clock, but the person just in that color. Zenless Zone Zero lost 10 million. I think that's just because of banner pull, and obviously the whole controversy going on with that game.
Yeah, I was about to
every
say
weekend.
Like that one character. Like there are definitely people who are looking forward to it, but like not to the level. Like it was a loud minority, I guess.
Yeah.
Is what we could say. Maybe that's why those numbers are like that.
Heaven Burns Red. That's a game I've been looking at but haven't downloaded it yet. They went up in 1 million. I'm not sure why, but I think again they're like 2 months in, so they're probably doing. Chaos Zero Nightmare, a game I'm playing on and off, did lose, but they already teased their next character, and like everybody's like losing their mind, so that's gonna go up. And Girls Frontline, I think wasn't even in is at the number 50 slot. I don't even think they were in the list last month, so they got in. And that game, I think you tried it too, right? I think that was one that you had tried out but didn't stick with. Same.
Yeah, it was like because it's somewhere in between trying to be an auto game versus a game that you actually play.
Yeah.
So depending on where you are, like it's going to be a bit dissatisfying. Again, like if I wasn't juggling as many gacha games as I am, I might be more willing to mess with it because it wasn't bad. I think it's appealing to me because I don't have the time and patience to play an actual like XCOM type of game. So there's that with it. With Girls Frontline 2 being at rank 50, does that mean the title that we were talking about last month, it's like completely off the list?
Well, I think the title we talked about last month was oh gosh, this is our fault. We actually should have checked. Actually, I think it's fine. I don't remember what the 50th slot was. I remember we were surprised.
It was Brown Dust 2.
You're right. It was. Oh, but they're also going them Snowbreak and this new one that just came out, Heaven's Hell or something like that. Like they are all under fire. Like they're like in the censor, apparently AI, and like you know what? I know we're not gonna talk about it too much, but Snowbreak, the alleged group that was like responsible for like taking it down, besides the sponsorship and all that, they're already claiming that they're gonna move to Brown Dust and Blue Archives and Nikkei, and it's like it's gonna be interesting to see if they're gonna succeed and start causing more censorship over there. But I know in that side of the world they are upset at all the censor stuff going on. So it'll be we're not gonna cover it too much, but it'll be interesting to see how that does affect the gacha sphere. Because I know a lot of games stop trying to do different things for different servers, right? Like it used to be they would do only China stuff and global stuff. But a lot of them have done kind of both for both. So we'll see what kind of happens. But a topic, since we're talking about the revenue and whatnot going on, is something that I think we had touched on a little bit in our first episode, but we didn't get a chance to. Is spending in gacha, like how much money people spend. Clearly, it's not a little bit. We're seeing it's a lot. Like I know a game that's never on here, but I play Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. They're a $2 billion company because that game makes $2 billion a year, I think. So it's like that is crazy money to think about. And so I guess what I want to talk about is how much, and if you're willing to, how much we end up spending on gachas. And okay, so like, what even got you to spend on a gacha?
Yeah, no problem. Like I have to like rewind because like I was bracing to do the explanation of like my mental gymnastics on like how I do like the actual spending, the time frame. But to like, it's I don't know. Like, I'm gonna try to explain it, and maybe like the short takeaway is like, oh, CommDao fell for FOMO, and I always want to say like that's not what I fall for, but it's just like really the character appeal, and be like, dude, I freaking want this character, and it's not so much about like the time running out of it, and like I know I've navigated like the periods where you wait till they rerun or something like that, right? But yeah, like way back in Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, it's like, I couldn't earn enough like currency on my own with free to play, so and like I want to keep going for this character. Same thing with Azure. Well, Azure Lane spending, because it was so gracious with like the currency that you use to get characters. It really was about the skins in that game, or like they had the oath system in Azure Lane where you could like marry your characters, right? But like the marrying of them like gave you a boost to all their stats also.
Yeah.
So like I don't think I've ever seen a game where like you favorited someone and like, you actually got stat boosts with them. But now with like this current rotation, it's man. Again, like it's less about I gotta hurry and try to get them before the time runs out, but just wanting that character specifically.
I think for me, I never really saw gacha spending as a bad thing, because obviously there's like two sides of the conversation, right? There's the sides of people that spend and they're into whatever, as the other side where they say it's predatory and it's like, it's preying and it's evil and all this. But for me, it's like I never really saw a distinction between spending in a gacha and buying DLC for like Halo 3. It's like I'm putting money into a game to get something for the game, of the game. So for me, spending in gachas, it wasn't that crazy. I know for me, what I first spent money on was Star Wars Galaxy Heroes. I spent $20 to get their pool. They're like to pull for characters. Because at that point in time when the game first came out, you were only given like 2 free characters. So you had to farm them and whatever. It's like, well, I could get better shards for doing it. And so it just kind of started from there. And thankfully, I've never been... How do I want to say this? I don't think I've ever been completely irresponsible where like I missed a bill or I couldn't pay for like my cat food or anything. No, like never like that. But like I think for me and so I guess we can kind of go into how we spend or how we justify. For me, I tried to never pool to the pity or to the max until you get a character with money. If I have like half of it saved up in free to play currency, and I just let's say hypothetically, and I'll actually use Umesume because that's ridiculous. But in Umesume, I think to get a character, I think don't and if somebody plays Umesume and they want to correct me, please do. But I think to get a full character, it's $100, like just from 0 to 100, and you never pulled the character. I think it's $100, and I don't like that. Like that, like which is gonna be weird to say, but like so in games like that, I don't mind like spending $60 out of that or 40 or 50, right? As long as it's not the full amount, I'm okay with that. However, there's a caveat in games like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes where like I don't recently, that's been my most expensive purchase has been in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and that was about $180, roughly I'm just gonna run down to 200, and that was to just get a version of Darth Vader, but it was to get a version. It introduced this weird system where like you had to pay to level up the character, but in order to level up the character, you had to get specific currency that you couldn't get unless if you had like this whole roster of 5 at a specific star level, which I wasn't going to pay for everybody. I didn't want everybody. I just wanted Vader. And so I had to buy the character, which he was like $120. And then the materials to level him up, or enough to level everybody else up to start getting them for quote quote free, it ended up being about $200. And it's like, in that case, it's like I did only because that's a PvP focused game. And like, it's kind of like, if you don't have this character right now, and if you don't have him at this level, you might as well just like not even sign in, you know? And so it's like, so while I am saying I'm not trying to pull 4 pities, in Swaga it's not even pity. You just buy the shards, right? Like if it's telling me, hey, you're going to get 80 shards, you're getting 80 shards. In a gacha, you have a chance to get 80 shards, or you can get this 1-star character you're never going to use in Overflow. You know, so it's like kind of like, so it depends on its packaging. But for me, what kind of makes me spend money, usually if they have like some kind of like $5 pack or $10 pack where it's like get 20 pulls or get 5 pulls and like a cool sword for your character, I'll kind of usually go for that. But in games like Withering Waves and Zenless and Honkai and things like that I play from time to time, I try not to spend money like on pulls or things like that, unless if there's a skin. Like for instance, we just talked about Girls Frontline 2. I didn't pay for any of the gacha, but I did buy a couple skins. Like there was one character, she had like a really cool like Ada Wong dress, like type dress. I thought it was cool. That I bought it. I thought it was neat. But how I am in mobile games, it's like if I try a game, I try to give it its best shot. And if I see the best shot requires me to spend maybe $5-10 to get like this special level up thing or this sword or whatever, like I'll do that, because I don't see too much harm in that. But as for the pullings themselves, I try my best to stay free to play, unless if like how a lot of people are saying in Withering Waves, if it's like a character that I'm like, dude, like I've wanted this character since my birth, you know, like this character was in me before I even knew of the game, then maybe I'll go and spend money. But like if it's just like, for instance, you and I pulled Gabriella, or yeah, Gabrina. I didn't even think I was going to pull her. I didn't even like really want her. Am I happy I pulled her? Heck yeah. But I wasn't going to be like, I have to pull now. Like, you know, like it's like...
Are you not a Devil May Cry fan? Did I make that up?
No. I'm a huge Devil May Cry fan. I love DMC.
Yeah, well, I thought
Ride or Die, except for the anime and Netflix.
I heard Galbrina is like the love letter to Devil May Cry.
Oh, absolutely, bro. She's crazy. She's just like 100%. Like, so, and I think it was a huge blessing to get her, because I didn't even know what she was. I thought she was like some mystical ant character, but then when I pulled her, I was like, oh no, she just has like fire things. I don't know, but super cool character design. And how you and I were talking about, her combat is so cool. And and now that you bring it up, I do see the homage to DMC. That I'm like, oh yeah, okay, like that makes sense.
So with her, like using her as like a springboard, I think like whenever I was okay with like spending some money with Genshin, it's like for Genshin, you know, you have your very valid complaints about Genshin, and a lot of it's like with the traversal, you know. So when you have characters that help ease and give quality of life to the traversal, that's a huge thing in that game. One thing that I wanted to talk about in spending in general, because I thought it was like interesting how you framed it, and I think this is like why some people, like how it can be so polarizing, right? You were talking about comparing spending to mobile games, like being okay with spending DLC in regular games, right? But you also know that there are some people, I think it's getting less and less, but you know there are some people who are really hardcore about buying any DLC at all, right? They're just like so anti, like, oh, microtransactions, man, it's so scummy about game developers like gutting their games and selling like unfinished products, and like there is something to be said about that as well, right? But some people who are just like so opposed against it, it would make sense that those people would never be okay with spending in mobile games, period, right? And I agree with you, like I try never to frame it like, oh, I gotta wait for this character's out, now I'm putting the money. Like I don't ever spend money on those top-up sites because I still don't trust them, you know, like Loot Bar and stuff like that.
Same, me neither,
But what I do is I get like discounted Xbox gift cards when they go on sale. You know, like Newegg sells them from time to time, or like Best Buy or Target will get like discounted sales.
That's smart.
So yeah, so like that's what I do. So I kind of like how you were talking about like, yeah, as long as I'm not spending the full amount of money for the pity, like I'm spending a version of that. So like I get like the monthly pass for some of these games, right?
Yeah,
So
same here.
building that up, and so I have this sort of reserve, and then I'm seeing what kind of dent that can make when I pull on a banner. But then I also have like that bank for like the Xbox credit that I can like spend to funnel. I can't do that with Wuthering Waves, since it's not on Xbox,
hopefully.
right? Uh, yeah, someday maybe. But
hopefully, man, I'm actually hoping that they port to Xbox soon.
Yeah, I just don't know like what direction they're going with like some of these games sometimes. Because earlier you're talking about Atelier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, that Atelier game, while it did sell well, Atelier Yumiya, I think is what it was called.
That was the most recent one.
It sold really poorly on Xbox to the point that whatever next Atelier game is coming out, it's not going to be on Xbox.
Yeah.
So these Japanese devs. Now again, like a lot of these gacha game devs are Chinese, not Japanese. But I wonder if they're looking at it the same way, where
I'm being like,
yeah. But
I'd be curious. I know, I'm sure there's a way to look. I'd be curious to see the actual gacha sales for Zenless and for Genshin on Xbox. I'd be curious to see like how much it makes, right? Because I have one friend, she like religiously plays Zenless on Xbox only. And so, like, and so, like, I'd be curious to see, like, how much money it brings in, because I know they haven't ported Honkai Star Rail yet, and I imagine there's also like a kind of graphical barrier or something, because as much as I love Xbox, I do understand that PlayStation processes more and has more, like graphic stuff. So, I don't know. But yeah, go on. You were saying that you don't pull for the full pity or the full amount of money.
Yeah, I try not to like ever frame it that way, because like that's when I feel like if I'm going all in that way, it does feel like even more like gambling. Because like you said, because there's 50-50s on these banners, like there's no guarantee, you are gambling. So it's like contributing to the reserve of like the premium currency. Like that's how I try to frame it in my mind. And also, like, earlier we were talking about the game balance, right? And like, what are we playing? Dude, I'm not really, like, my gaming routine and with what all's out there, like you got, I know you had some mixed feelings about it, but you were gonna try out Resident Evil no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And there's gonna be AAA games in the future that you feel that way. Dude, my reserve for that is like pretty low. Like, I'm thinking about for this upcoming year, there's like the Dynasty Warriors 3 remake that I'm kind of interested in. There's Neverness to Everness that's coming out next month that I like. That was a game that I was looking forward to more in the past, and now that it's here closer,
yeah,
I don't even know if I'm gonna be playing it.
I feel the exact same way, man. Oh my goodness gracious.
So if I'm not playing other games outside of like a fighting game here and there, which aren't too crazy expensive, right? I'm just not spending a lot of money towards games. So that's like how I'm sort of justifying like the spending habits in these gachas in this way, where it's like, oh, these are my main games, right? So this is like my DLC for them. Like, I don't ever get to the point. I did it with Azure Lane, but I don't ever like veer towards the territory of like, oh man, I love the game, gotta support the devs, like that. Obviously these gacha games are making buku's amounts of money. I did that a little bit with Warframe. That's maybe like another side comfort game that I have that I kind of ease off, since like I'm basically end game, and I'll play with like my clan, because they got real active again, so they're always wanting to play, but I'm trying to like divvy up my game time. But yeah, like I think I'm relieved, Fabian, that like you've never skipped bills or like couldn't feed yourself because of that's how I try to look at it too, where like, I mean, at the end of the day you got your responsibilities, but dude, I'm not going out to the theater, I'm not drinking, what am I spending my money on? I can budget a little bit on this.
I think for me, don't get me wrong though, I have spent an egregious amount on mobile games. Like, there was one time in a sitting I spent like 150 on this like on this like medieval hero collector, which I did enjoy, but the developers gave up on it. I don't know if they made a new game, or I don't know if they were like a small studio and everybody left to other studios. I don't know what happened, right? But at some point, it's still in the App Store, but its last update was like 2 years ago. So it's like they just stopped caring about it. They didn't do anything, and so it's unfortunate. But for me, it's like for instance, me and my brother just got back into Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, and in November, me and him made the decision to spend some money on some stuff to catch up. They had a lot of catch-up bundles because they have 330 characters in the game, right? And not even that, they have 330 characters in the game, but then in order to use the characters, you have to level them up beyond their max level, which is like a whole other set of materials and everything. And they have these bundles that puts you like right in the middle. They're like super usable. You just have to get the right mods, which again, obviously, if you don't play Swagger, you're not understanding, but they aren't that hard to get. And so, but my wife, she was saying like, "Are you actually going to play this game 6 months from now?" And me and my brother were like, "Yeah." And sure enough, here we are. We're still playing it, months later. That it's like, that we're still playing it. And so for me, it's like, if there's something I'm playing and enjoying, for instance, I know, segueing it, but Warriors Abyss. If I know I'm going to put like, 10 hours into it weekly, and I'm going to use these characters and they have cuter outfits, I don't mind. That's not going to kill me, And it's the same thing like when I was playing Nikki Goddess of Victory, when they had her skins for characters. If I'm using the character on the roster and they're in my rotation, why not am I going to get it, Like, it's different stuff. And so it's like, but you want to know what though? I play this MOBA. I'm not sure if you've heard of it, but it's Mobile Legends. They didn't create the smartphone, but they made the MOBA for it. That's their slogan. They have this thing where skins give you 8 more damage. Which is like, again, not mind-blowing, but that's so crazy that they're like, hey, if you buy this skin, you can poke them just a little bit harder. That's kind of crazy. Yeah. But dude, some of these skins are incredible. Like they're super cool. I'm pretty sure no, it's not Tencent. It was Moontune to something else, but I forgot. But right now they just had a King of Fighters collab actually, and so they had a bunch of those character skins. Next month is apparently Bleach. They just had SpongeBob, which was like their marketing right now is crazy.
Man, it's tough. Like some of those, I mean, again, like these IPs that make a ton of money, like they make their titles so generic enough. Like when you said Mobile Legends, like I'm cycling through 3 potential games.
Yeah.
Which one is he talking about?
I think it's Bang Bang Mobile Legends. I think they called it to separate it because you're right. There's like 30 million mobile games, or Mobile Legends. But yeah. So for me, spending, it's kind of like, again. Now, unfortunately, the downside of it, as you and I have read and talked about off stream, there are a lot of people who have gone into debt, who their families have starved, who they're missing things because like FOMO is so strong in these games. And sometimes it really is, right? Like, especially I know towards the tail end of Genshin and Withering Waves, it does become about damage. It does become about, and in a lot of these gachas, right? The end output, because there's no real Warframe or Destiny type end game. It's more of like, how hard did you hit in this dungeon is what ends up becoming the end game.
And luckily for me, like, I do not give a crap about those modes. Maybe I will someday.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, because I'm not chasing like that meta stuff. Like, I think I'm kind of safeguarded in a way like that. Yeah, like really just like focusing on pulling for characters that I like. I think that helps out a ton.
Yeah, and I think this goes into like the concept of re-rolling too. I don't really re-roll unless if there's like a specific character that I'm like, dude, that character looks cool. But like, because I feel like that and FOMO and pities ends up being the same thing, right? Because a lot of people be like, dude, if I don't start with this character, my account's going to suck and I'm not going to be able to build, I'm not going to blah, 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 or vice versa.
Gacha games, their entry tutorial stages are way too freaking long. Like, even in the past when I thought like I could hang with that, there's no freaking way now. No freaking way.
Some of them, sometimes they do, but I wish more gachas would have like, hey, do you know basic gacha mechanics? Do you know basic gacha inventory? Yes? Okay, let's just get you into the game then and explain our little cool thing that we introduced, right?
Dude, when I reinstalled Street Fighter 6 today on PC and like I booted it up, they added more tutorial text box things that would pop up like gotcha style to guide you. I'm like, how do I turn this off, dude? Like I spent like 5 minutes trying to navigate the options menu to shut it down. I was like, why does every single game developer think this is the way to go? Like, I don't know if it's like some legal clause, they got to insert all this text so nobody can like sue them or like blame them for anything.
Probably, I imagine, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, because yeah, well, especially in the gacha field, so many of them have been sued. Obviously, I think in England, loot boxes are completely banned, right? Which isn't exactly gacha, but is very similar because sometimes some of these pools you could call them loot boxes because it's like
isn't that what Overwatch got hit with? Like, isn't that like kind of like the West's version of like knowing about all that stuff and and adjusted?
Yeah, that, and they got rid of like, and I wish they would do this in I wish they would do this in the United States too. But in England, it's no longer that you like. So let's say there's a pool and it's 3,500 crystals, but you have to get the 4,000 pack because there's no 3,500 crystal pack. So they changed it to where you can buy directly. Why doesn't the United States do that? Gosh,
I'm all on board with you because like fighting games have been like struggling to like they want to have their cake and eat it too, right?
Yeah.
Like how they do microtransactions and like they're trying to learn from like pricing models from like these free to play games, but not giving the actual offerings from it. So when they do make these premium bundles, though, they're doing that exact same stupid numbers game, and it's so freaking annoying. Like you always have to buy way more than you need, right?
Yeah,
you'll never have enough to buy the thing.
And it's like, gosh, I really wish that in the United States they would implement that, because it's like exactly how you're saying, and it's not just in fighting. Like, and I'm not even talking about gachas, but like in like any game that's not a gacha, the skins are like $9.50 or they're like $12.50. Well, how can you get $12.50? Well, you got to buy the $15 pack. But okay, or you can get the $10 and two of the $2 ones, and it's like, bro. And so, gosh, like I really hope that other places around the world do that, because in gachas it's sometimes like that too, right? Like sometimes skins or packs are like really mixed match with crystals. But okay.
I was gonna say, like, the way that they do it, because I was just looking at some of the packs, like they won't, like you're thinking like, oh, I want to get enough for a 10 pull, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because like 10 pull standardized. It's like, oh, you get this one, like you still don't have enough for a 10 pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if not, it's so ridiculous. Like, and I know it's messed up. No, it's not messed up to say. I know they have to make their money, but I hate the mobile games where the 10 pack is $20 right away. For me, it's like if it's under 20, I usually get it. But if it's like $20 for a 10 pack pull, I usually never get that for a game, unless if I'm like, again, and I say about Umesume, because I hate that in Umesume the 10 pull is $20, and I'm like, okay, because that doesn't feel good going down, because like that doesn't come back the same way. For instance, you said you get a lot of the monthly passes for these games, right? Because they usually have a benefit of some kind. But in a pool, man, it especially in these games that have weapons and characters in the same banner. Oh gosh, dude, it's super upsetting.
Everything that I hate.
Yeah, it's super upsetting when you pull like 9 gray weapons and 1 purple character you're never going to use in your life, that you're like, that was $20 of my life. Like, it's like, that sucks. That's a crappy feeling. And I think that's what keeps me from like ever really going so hardcore, is just seeing that. Again, there's different games I know I keep talking about it, but like Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, or even another one that's actually in the gacha list, Marvel Contest of Champions, even if I pull a 20 pull and like I dupe a character, you know, which like it just means I pulled the character again, they give me currency for the higher tier of that character if it's not the highest tier already. Which, you know what, that's fine. And a lot of the times and especially in Contest of Champions, there's different game modes for every character. There's like 2-star competitions, 3-star competitions, 4-star competitions. So there's areas where you can use your whole roster, which I appreciate. But in games like Withering Waves and Genshin, and I'm going to specifically say Withering Waves, there's nothing to use the other characters for. They're kind of just in my roster because they're in my roster, but I'm never going to use them. You know, and especially now that I pulled this character, I really have no reason to go use any of the other characters besides my main character and maybe one other one to complete the cycle, right? But it's like, I don't know. It sucks when there's no worth spending. Because, like, that just kind of sucks. So, while I don't like it in Ume Sume, at least in Ume Sume, there is that mechanic where, like, all the horses can be used by each other, or their stats boost other stats, XYZ. So, at least there's merit to it. But, like, in a lot of these other games, though, it's like you're just wasting $20, and if you don't pull a character, you literally wasted $20. Like, there's no real convenience. There's no real, like, oh, well, I can sell this character. No, there's nothing. There's nothing you get, and it sucks. Like, that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to defend them, but, like, what else could they do other than... Yeah. Like, well, we're too in it, I guess.
Yeah, no,
that's our conclusion at the end of it.
I'll say the thing is, like, that is the world we're in. That's the world of gachas, and that's why, you know, it's a gacha, you know? And so it's like, and so it's just like, however, I will say, though, especially in these last 2 years, a lot of these games have become, even if it's just at face value, they have become more free-to-play friendly than they were, say, 4 years ago, like, especially during COVID, where it was like, if you weren't spending money, you weren't getting characters. But they did, and again, legally, I know a lot of these games got sued. They did have to boost the percentage of how many of the 5-star pool. They did have to do all that, which I am grateful. And I'm grateful that I'm Withering Waves, especially right now. And maybe it's because I'm in the beginning. You know, they are generous. I was able to pull this character for free, right? So it's like, you know, so like, a lot of them have become more free-to-play friendly, which is cool. But it's like, if you really want to get the maximized enjoyment, if you want to get like, and well, I guess that's subjective. If you want to objectively be doing the best you can, then you have to be pulling, which is unfortunate. But, you know, as you said plainly, that's the world we're in. That's the gacha sphere we're in.
I was going to say, like, if you do try to treat it more like a free-to-play player, like, you'll never need the end game meta characters to play through the story. You know, I think they are pretty good about doing that. So if you want to enjoy, again, like now with Genshin having like 6 years being out, there's so much story content. Like, if you enjoy that exploration in that world and like get to enjoy those characters, dude, you got so much game in there that you can go through. Withering Waves and Zenless Zone Zero, about 2 years, like they've both been 2 years out, so like not as extensive as Genshin, but there's plenty of stuff to comb through. But yeah, it's like as soon as you get to, oh, I want to get X amount of points in this dungeon. Oh, I want to rank in this way. Oh, I want to be part of that conversation, kind of like what you're talking about with Resident Evil. If you're trying to stay so up to date with like every banner, every patch, we're at 2.5 right now. Oh man, like I want to be able to do my numbers and share, like, to see what everyone else is doing. You're probably going to be in for like a much rougher time. Now, again, like if you can afford it, cool. Yeah. But that seems like a very exhausting thing to chase also, you know?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I appreciate this channel that we're in, that we created to be able to talk about our likes and our interest in games and, of course, the you know, gacha realm. But it's the same reason why I've never doubled down and became like a gacha content creator of a specific game, because I knew at some point it's going to be like, I have to spend money to get this character because I talk about it.
Dude, as you're verbalizing that right now, it's so funny. There's a fighting game, I guess we can call him a content creator, but he's been in the fighting game scene for like a long time, all right?
Yeah.
But I guess like his biggest contribution is like how much he helped organizations set up their streaming capabilities during COVID. So like, you know, when everyone was pivoting and like being able to broadcast tournaments, and he was working like real hard before he said like, guys, I'm always going to be part of the fighting game scene, but I'm tired. And he kind of like passed it on, and like other groups are doing it. The one that's doing it really well right now is Tampa Never Sleeps TNS.
Oh yeah.
But Spooky is this guy's name. He was messing around with Zenless Zone Zero, and he made a separate channel for the content, and he was doing, I thought it was like really well made content. And of course, like, because he was going to a different audience, he was building it up, and he abruptly stopped. And then like he made a post saying like, oh, there's no way for him to compete with like these other people who are really able to give their all for gacha content. But dude, I wonder if it's exactly what you said about like having to spend to keep up in that way, because that would make a lot of sense too, dude. If you're gonna be full on out, you're gonna be like that kind of gacha content creator, then that means you got to spend money to it.
It's not just that. I feel like especially if you're not just living on one gacha, what people want to see is like team ups and combos and kits that mesh with kits and whatever. And the thing is, with like all these mobile games, the kits end up getting too much. They end up getting too much or too convoluted that then you have to think about, well, how's this going to work with whatever? And the hard thing about, especially I think in the gacha field, now, those who do it, great. And for those who have the mind for it and they're trained on it, of course they understand it better than you and I or Spooks will. But for us who are on the outside, I never read a kit and right away be like, dude, this character and this character are going to slam dunk body slam, you know?
Yeah. Because, again, go back to the tutorials, like, dude, they never explain it in the best way. Like, I have to, like, reread constantly. I only feel like just now, man, like, I'm able to make sense of, like, some of those Genshin explanations. Like, usually I have to find, like, a video essay or, like, I have to tinker around, get it wrong. Like, in our own private Discord chat, man, like, when I'm getting stuff to click for me in Wuthering Waves, I'm texting you, and not because it's like, oh, maybe Fabian will understand. I need to text you so I can understand. You know, like, it's all for me to pass on that memo. Because like certain stuff with the parry and the dodge, it's like me treating wuwa as my serious game. I forget constantly still.
Yeah, no, it's and so for me, especially like when I was really hard into Nikki Goddess of Victory, I did want to play it, but man, I didn't know any character's kit. I didn't know what they did. I didn't know the percentages. I didn't know what that. So whenever a new character came out, and I was like, oh, this character does 8% barrier reduction boost damage. And I'm like, okay, I get that. And then I did somebody's video, oh, this character and this character and this character all meshed together. And I'm like, I don't have a knowledge for that. So I can 100% relate to Spooks, where it probably was both financially. You probably have to spend money, because the worst part is, especially in some of these games, you have to pull that character multiple times, right, to get their peak output or their peak whatever, which that alone could be who knows how much amount of money, you know? And so
I've
it's
only done that for one character on Zenless, only one. So
yeah, I'll say I don't think I've ever done that with money. Because I think in some of the mobile games that I played, they had like events where they would give you like two, and then I had like enough free currency to get like the third one for their max evolution or whatever. So but for sure it has to be cost. What's it called? It has to be some kind of cost fallacy and just genuinely basic knowledge, right? Because in fighters, and kind of talking about Spooks and both you and me can go and understand, oh, this person's character is aerial attacks. This person's character is low attacks. This person's character is mixed, right? Like, we can understand that easy, and we can understand that character in depth, and that has nothing to do with character B, right? It's like, it's that character and that character. But in these gachas, it's like, man, if you don't really know your roster and you don't know all the abilities, and I'll be honest, that makes it unfun for me. Because I can play League of Legends, I can play Mobile Legends, and within a match, I can understand that character pulls me, that character's CC, that character's AOE, blah, 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 and that's fine. But it's like when it comes to gachas, dude, sometimes it burns me out, right? Like when like a character has like an essay for each ability, and I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, this character does what?
I do think that's why it's important to like be able to develop your own play style too. But I will say, like, kind of maybe to your point, that if you are that type of person where you want to know all the ins and outs of your character and you carry that pressure with you, like you'll probably be miserable. And I will say that Wuthering Waves gets way more complex than Genshin or something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, just on the combat alone, you know, like is night and day. But
with all the meters that you got to watch out for.
Yeah, and it's funny because I know you were telling me that like you're like barely getting into learning the combat, but I keep getting tripped out that I forget that you can, or maybe I'm high, I don't know, but you can hold the mouse button because I play on mouse and keyboard, and if you hold the basic, it does do another attack. It's not the same attack. And so I'm like, oh crap, I forgot about that. And so then I have to check every character. Yeah, I had to check every character. Do they have an aerial version of that? Do they have what? And some characters do, and some don't. And so it's like, geez Louise.
What I've seen with like collecting more characters and like going through the trials for everybody, like with Galbrana being like your newest character you have, right? Mm-hmm. Like she's only the real one who will really capitalize on it because like a lot of the early characters they're pretty simple. Okay.
Yeah.
But the more you go, it's like, because I don't play with mouse, so I'm just trying to think, like, not only can you hold the left click, you can probably hold the right click. Oh, can you hold it in the air? Oh, you got to swap back and forth. Like, it's starting to get that complex with the newer characters on wuwa, which for some people is awesome. For other people, it's okay if you don't maximize like all that stuff. Like, you can still just like charge your meter and do your ult and then swap to another character. Okay.
You know, it's funny because that's what I actually appreciate about Warriors Abyss is it's all basically like a universal attacks, or it's like specific differences that ends up being universal for the characters that show a specific thing, right? So it's like, and obviously it's the same way in Wuthering Waves, but I do appreciate that it's not like, you know, it's going to be X, Y, X, hold X, then Y, and then B is this person's combo, and next characters is Y, 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 A, B, A. You know, I'm grateful that it's like genuinely like the same type of combat, because sometimes like it's very overwhelming, which is funny because to kind of round everything up as we're closing the episode. I know we're reaching the time limit. Is that you know, that's one of the things that I love about Dead or Alive, but I also despise about Dead or Alive is while they all have similar combos, they all do have a different combo that I can never end up doing like specific character signature stuff. So I'm just like, damn it, you know, I just do like the basic.
Well, it's so funny where again, like I will put Dead or Alive as like one of my top 2 favorite fighting series of like all time now. But in that gap period, dude, when I was getting back into fighting games, so this is like 2016, 2017 era, and I finally picked up Dead or Alive 5 last round. It's so crazy to say, dude, and I was telling Kiyobastein the same thing. I didn't like it at first because I felt all the characters were too samey.
Yeah.
But it was because of that universal combo stuff that you could do with every character. That's all I was doing with everybody, so of course they would feel the same, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, that's why too. Especially in Dead or Alive 6, whenever I went up against another Koroko, that like they would demolish me with her actual moves, right? Yeah. And then I had to be like, oh, okay, so I should learn more of these combos. But I agree with you. I remember for the longest time, I would just do the same 4 combos with every character, or what would it be?
3 punches and a kick,
or it's like kick, but you know, go back and it does like a reverse kick and then up kick, and I'm just like, but no, But as we're coming to the end of the podcast, of this episode, what's your final thoughts? Like, do you have anything coming up next month that you're like, can't wait for this, or you know? Or what kind of really hit you this last month in your gaming world?
Dude, so I've been really lucky with my pulls. You know, like that. I think that has to be another factor. Like if I didn't have the luck I did, and I hadn't been able to collect the characters I've gotten, it's probably unlikely that I would continue to be playing these gacha games. You know, so in Wuthering Waves, man, like I'm kind of at that point where knock on wood or whatever, or like famous last words, that I probably could get away with like reverting back to being like strictly free to play and like not spending money, because like on my spread, my wish list, I got all the characters I wanted. As far as Genshin, I got that Lunar New Year horse character. I don't know if it's next month or in 2 months. There's going to be the companion character that boosts all her stats, so I kind of got to do the saving to see if I'm going to pull for her. Zenless Zone Zero, they're going to be releasing their first Snake Lady, and I got to see how fun she's actually to play. But those are kind of like the games that are on my horizon. But yeah, like that's where my thoughts are on the gacha sphere. Like now that you've beaten Resident Evil, you're not going to be doing like another playthrough of it, are you?
I think I might. I think it might be the first game I try to speedrun. Because I think it's like the only one I think I might find easiest to do. But yeah, Resident Evil 9, I'll say this. I hate the first half of this game. I do. I both Leon and Grace's story, I just hate the first half of the campaign. It's just completely boring and dumb and just idiotic. Like, for instance, and this isn't a spoiler at all, but at the start of the game, Leon's chasing this character, and this character infects people with and actually turns them into zombies, and they're infecting the town. And Leon makes no mention of it. He's not calling the cops. He's not doing anything. It's just like, oh, there's zombies. Okay, but people are being ripped apart next to him, and I'm like, are we just not going to give a flying F that this town's going to get overrun by zombies again? No, let's just not care. And they never mention it again. They never bring it up. So I imagine in this version of Resident Evil, they have the perfect team to kill zombies. But I'm just like, you're literally watching city blocks. Yeah, and mind you, he kills like half of them, right? It's like, you're literally killing like half of this town. And we're not going to talk about it. We're not going to be like, Sherry, you have to call the BSA to stop. No, we just give no fucks. I'm trying to swear. But I'm just like, okay, like that just completely throws me out. Because in every other Resident Evil game, it's like, oh no, it's back. Or, oh no, how do we, it's just like no F's given. And I'm just like, okay, that's just, and then her side, man, they're trying so hard to be scary. And to be fair, they are scary. Excuse me. But it's such telegraphed, like, you can see where it's going to happen. You can see where the jump scare is. You can see where the monster's going to come out of. And I hate that. That completely took me out of it. But the second half of the game, where it turned just more into action-y, which I hate that people don't acknowledge Resident Evil made that switch with 4. Like, everyone's like, no, it was a scary game. Dog, Resident Evil 4 was not scary. There's a giant with his ball sack hanging out. You were scared of that? No, you weren't. Shut up. Like, oh my goodness.
That is why I played Resident Evil 4, because it was steering towards the action and like there were horror elements, but like I would be able to it was more palatable for me. And I enjoyed the heck out of the 4 through 6 era. I know 6 was really, really polarizing, but as far as co-op games to play with a buddy, like great memories of that.
I'll say it to this day. I think Resident Evil 6 is one of my top 3 favorite Resident Evil games. And I know people don't like it, but it was ambitious. It had 4 campaigns that each play differently, and it had the best mercenary. You want to know what, Capcom? I know they're never going to watch this. I don't understand why we don't have a Mercenaries universe. Why there's not a free-to-play Mercenaries base game, and they just sell me every Resident Evil character. I'll buy them. Sell me every character for $20, and I will buy it. And just have like the Resident Evil 6 Mercenaries just updated to 2026, whatever. I don't understand why this isn't a thing. Like, instead, they try making that stupid, like, oh, you get to control the evil, then they... Who the flying F was that for?
Like, they've always stumbled with like their
my
like,
goodness.
I don't even remember what the game was, but I remember they tried to do some online Resident Evil during the PS2 era when you had to buy like the separate like modem. Outbreak?
Yeah, Outbreak. Yeah, it was Outbreak. I was gonna say either Dead End or Outbreak, but it was Outbreak. You're right. It was Resident Evil Outbreak. But you want to know what? Operation Raccoon City, people hate that game. I love the multiplayer. The multiplayer in that game, to me, was one of the top 5 multiplayers I've played in my life. It was so cool playing Team Deathmatch, and zombies were... And it wasn't overdone, where I was like, oh, great, there's zombies next to me. It was like, okay, I need to kill that guy. Oh, crap, a liquor just spawned next... Like, it was fun. It was cool. There was no camping, because, like, the AI was trained to target people who were camping, so you couldn't camp in the game. So it was great. It was fantastic. It was fun. The game story, I'm not going to defend, but the multiplayer was great.
That's what I was going to say. So, again, like, I think... Do Fabian, go off, like the criticism of the writing on Resident Evil 9. But I was trying to think, like, was the writing in any of these Resident Evil games, like, ever that good? I mean, like, weren't they all kind of, like, full of logic gaps or just, like, stupid character behavior?
Well, it's kind of
maybe
like...
not to that degree. I don't know.
The issue is... I don't think Resident Evil 6, 5, or maybe 4, because I think 4 was still, like you said, they were still trying to be horror-y, but trying to switch more into the action. But 5 and 6 completely switched from a horror-style game to a more action-focused game with some horror-type elements, right? Because, for instance, in Leon's campaign in 6, the first 3 chapters were supposed to be more classic. Yeah. They were supposed to be a little bit horror. Yeah, but not horribly like how you're saying. But not in comparison to like Silent Hill or Resident Evil 7 and 8, right? Where they're like more in your face.
7, hell no, never, ever. Like people tell me like, oh, you should play that with a VR headset. Insane, no way.
It's like you're crazy. But so. I probably will be playing more of Resident Evil 9, only to just get to that second half of it. Because the second half, once it turned more action-y and more... Because that's the worst part. That's when the story got interesting, was the second half. The first half, golly, bro. Like, they were just milking every second. But as soon as I saw that you could... So it took me 11 hours to beat the game, but the speedrun right now is 2 hours. Then I'm like,
whoa,
I could probably do that. I'm like, I could probably do that. And especially seeing how they do it, I'm like, oh, okay. But of course, it was 11 hours because I explored everything. I went everywhere. Yeah. I looked every crevice, corner.
Dude, speedrunning your first playthrough sounds like a terrible idea. So I think you did it right.
Yeah.
But cutting down 11 to 2, like that would be an interesting stream if you do it that way.
I've been thinking, obviously I'm going to practice off stream, right? I'm not going to go on stream and be like, all right, guys, 2 hour attempt, first try. Oh, gosh, no. But yeah, no. So, yeah, I just beat Resident Evil. I am going to make a review on it for the channel. But I'll probably keep playing it. Again, I don't think it's the most groundbreaking game. I don't think it's like, as a lot of people are giving it its praise. And again, it's not horrible. But when I compare it to Silent Hill F, dude, Silent Hill F, in terms of the story, of the horror itself, of the world, dude, there's just no comparison. Like, Silent Hill F, I think, is such a better game. I haven't beat Silent Hill F because, and this is all Silent Hill games, I know it is, I hate when they tell me to get the true ending, you have to beat the game 4 times. And I'm just like, bro, what do you mean? Like,
the lifestyle where I could do that with games is long gone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, bro, I'm not 12 years old and, super excited to go see the dog tell me I'm fake, Like, like, I don't care. And it's like, so, because early on, you find this, like, shrine of some cursed god or something, right? Or some cursed person that was cursed by one of their gods. And it's like a really great sword, but it says you unlock it after unlocking the first truth, meaning you have to beat the game and go get it. And I'm like, no. And so it turned me off and I haven't gone back to it, but golly, bro, let me tell you, like, that game was dark. Like, out of nowhere, too. I don't think you're ever going to play the game, so do you care about spoilers at all?
No, you can go for it.
Yeah,
my affinity for the Silent Hill series, like, I never beat any of them, but just reading, not even through like a video essay or whatever, but reading back on Game Facts.
It's cool.
That website?
Yeah.
Like, reading the story for Silent Hill 2, I'm like, dude, Silent Hill 2 is one of the best gaming stories of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. but so there's this scene where, and this is what's frustrating because I understand if I play multiple playthroughs, more will be explained. But where I'm at, it's like the actual main character has to let go of her attachments to her friends because of something that I'm going to find out in the future, right? But, dude, it's dark. Like, it's like she has to let go of her friend, and her friend's afraid of the dark. So in order to let go of her friend, she has to turn off all the lights and lock it in. Brother, the voice actor, when she screamed being locked in the dark, dude, it gave me chills. I don't know who she is, but she deserves all the money. Holy crap, she sold it, dude. She sounded like somebody was just, it was so dark and out of nowhere. And then her next friend, she drops her in lava. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And it's like, and it's weird because they allude to what you're going to find out in the future, right? But it's like, at where you're at, I'm like, what the hell did I do or not? And then there's this simp character that really wants to do you. You end up hanging him and I think ripping him apart, like from his limbs. It's like, I'm like, what the hell just happened? And it sucks because you're doing all of it. So I'm just like, oh gosh.
I was gonna say it's great because like people who are into that, like you are totally selling them on that game. Like you explaining it, like is I feel good that I'm never ever gonna play this game.
Dude, I'm telling you, but like if you ever wanted, I would implore you to just watch that scene where she actually locks her friend in the English sub. Or am I doing it in English sub? I don't know if I'm doing it in the actual voice actor or if I'm doing it in the no, I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it. What is it? Korean? I think is the voice acting in the game. I think I'm watching it. I think I have the voice in Korean, but I have obviously the subs in English. But I'm telling you, dude, the voice actor when she screamed when you locked that door, oh my goodness! Like I literally got chills about it right now. That is an insane voice acting. That is inspiring. It's terrifying. But bringing it back to Resident Evil 9, and don't get me wrong, the voice actors are great. Capcom, no matter what you say about the games, they have great voice actors. In Devil May Cry, great voice acting, iconic. Virgil and Dante are beloved characters, right? But in like other games, getting good voice acting, it's hard sometimes. But you want to know what the? I already know the end of the episode. I'm sorry, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Have you ever heard of a game called 1000X like Resolute or something like that?
Is this like 3 years back or something with like
super indie game,
random? Okay,
super
like,
indie
I don't know
game.
anything other than the name being weird.
Yeah, let me tell you, shit game. Like it is. There's no combat. It's very bare bones. It's called like 1000X something. I don't know the last part, but it's like 1000X Resolute or something. But that had a really great story and really monotone voice acting. But golly, bro, I actually beat the game and I went through it and again, very, 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 very. I think one guy made it and I think he like really just bare bones out the maps and everything.
Okay.
But it's like super great story. And I'm very glad that I stuck through to it. The ending didn't really land for me only because like it like alluded you to where you were choosing your outcome, but the choice was at the very end. So it was like, oh, okay, so like that was anticlimactic. But like very good story and very cool that it's like I'm grateful we're in an era where people can make games like this and voice acting like this. That it's like I enjoyed that game more than Resident Evil 9 story.
A man with no name. You're right. It's 1000X Resist. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I know that you don't have Game Pass anymore. But if you wanted to spend some time in a story, that's a really good game. I actually recommend it. It's a cool story. I don't know, but it's it's a very interesting game. There's no combat. It's just literally exploring, and their version of exploring is different than the traditional way of exploring, so it's a little interesting, but it's a pretty cool game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time on it. I actually would want to replay it to get all the achievements, but again, it's like there's no way to speedrun that game because you have to interact with all it's a whole thing. But yeah. So aside from Resident Evil 9, I'll probably put more time into Warriors Abyss. I know Crimson. Not Desert. What's it called? Crimson. There's this new RPG coming out there. Everybody's all whatever.
Yeah. Not a sequel. I don't know if we want to call it a spinoff, but it's made from the Black Desert people. And,
okay, all right, that makes sense. All
Black
right,
Desert, like, as far as if you know about Korean MMO games, like,
I didn't like it.
dude, the grind is
Yeah,
unreal.
I didn't like it.
As far as like the combat goes for Black Desert, dude, like one of the best combat systems ever, in my opinion. Like, you know, a lot of times when people think about MMOs, they think of like World of Warcraft or like EverQuest or like even Guild Wars or something like that, or Final Fantasy 14 where you point and click right there. But dude, like I think Crimson Desert has potential if they just go all in with like that combat and make it bigger. But yeah, Fabian, I think we got to wind down here.
Yeah. But so just to sum it up, speaking as a channel, we are going to try to branch off more into talking about more about gaming. Only because we did talk about a lot about the gacha scene. Myself and Com don't have the time to spend 24/7 on every gacha and every game and every whatever. And I think it's easier to talk about what we like, what we're into. So we're all going to try to pivot for those of you who are following, and we hope you guys are enjoying the content both that we put out weekly and monthly. And but yeah, so that's in the world of gacha pity living. We hope you guys had a good start of the year, a good Valentine's Day, good, you know. We're already in March, which is crazy. This year is blowing by so fast. And there's a bunch of games coming, both gacha and, you know, non-gacha. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. But yeah, we appreciate you guys so much for coming out. Com, do you want to say something before we go?
I'm just reading a man with no names comments here. Dragon Ball Legends is a black hole. I agree with what the Dragon Ball gachas are. So save your money, people.
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. Even if you spend a minute watching these videos, we're very grateful. And if you guys have any comments, or maybe you think, hey, have you guys played this game? You know, maybe we can cover that on the next segment or video or the next podcast. But thank you guys so much for watching. We hope to see you guys soon. Adios.